Hey guys, it's Alisa, and have to excuse the way I look. I have been studying nonstop. Like, I have 5 exams for all 5 classes, and I just had 3 of them, and I have 2 left, and so I just got home from the library. It's like 3 in the morning, and I washed my face. I moisturized my skin. That's why my skin looks greasy. It's not, I promise, it's just moisturizer. And I was laying in bed, and I was about to fall asleep when I was thinking about a certain situation that happened with one of my friends. Her and her boyfriend of 2 years just broke up. He broke up with her because of the same reason my relationship ended. He just wasn't in love anymore. And so I'm going to make a video for her, but it's also just going to be a very generic video, but it's going to be focused on how to deal with the pain. Because when I was laying down thinking about this, I wasn't thinking about, like, activities that she can do to make herself feel better, or, like, how to, like, forget about your ex, or, like, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about just dealing with the pain in general. And there was just, like, one specific thing I just kept thinking about, like, one specific phrase I just want to bring up. And I'll say it later on. It's not, like, a big deal or anything, but I'm just going to start by saying, if you're going through a breakup because somebody just broke up with you, it's overwhelming. And it's not overwhelming purely because you just lost your other half, or your best friend, or, like, your lover. That's a big part of why you're overwhelmed and why you're stressed out and why you're sad. That's understandable. But if you really think about it, we're more overwhelmed because we don't know how we're about to deal with the pain. When my ex-boyfriend broke up with me, I was crying my eyes out. But I would say 60% of me was crying because he actually left me and because I no longer had him. But I would say that rest of the 40% was crying because I kept saying, how am I going to deal with this pain? How am I going to adapt to a life without him? How am I going to get used to, like, it was just future oriented. Like, what am I going to do now? Or what am I going to do about this? Or, like, it wasn't like, oh, he's gone. It's, now what? You know? So that's where most of the overwhelming feelings come from. It's trying to find that stability, because clearly we can't get dumped and immediately have a backup plan. Like, okay, I just got dumped, I guess I can pull on my side babe now, you know? Or, like, oh, I just got dumped, guess I can just, like, push this button and lose all my feelings now. Like, there's no way to do that. And that's the thing that I really want to focus on for my friend, is that the pain is and will remain inevitable. That's one point I just need to get across, and that's something that I learned the hard way. And unfortunately, it's something that everybody is going to learn the hard way at one point or another. I don't know. I know a few girls, I'm not going to, like, mention names or how I know them, but they've never had their heart broken. They've had relationships end, but they've never felt the unbearable loss of a heartbreak, where you're just drained. Physically, emotionally, mentally drained of motivation, of will to live, of anything. And you just feel just absolutely depleted of any hope whatsoever. Like, a heartbreak literally cripples you, and they've never felt that before. So the reason why I'm basing all of my advice off of something that I went through, obviously, and what I can tell you after 9 months of being broken up with from a guy that I thought I was going to marry, is that there is no way around it. And this is the quote that I was talking about earlier. There's no way around it, there's no way over it, and there's no way under it. The only way you can get through it is to go through it. And I know that's, like, super, like, oh my god, you know, it's like a huge picture that you're looking at, and it's like, what do I do? How do I deal with this pain? How do I get over him? How do I forget about him? How do I be okay? The answer is, you're not gonna be okay. You're not. And you need to accept that. And the reason why it's hard to accept that is because we're not used to it. We're not used to not being okay. We're used to being okay all the time. We're used to having this boy in our life all the time. We're used to having this girlfriend all the time. Like, we're used to them. And now we have to be not okay. It's totally okay not to be okay. And you have to admit that it's gonna be hell. It's going to be hell. I remember the night my ex-boyfriend broke up with me, my mom told me She said, Alisa, it's going to be okay again. And I just remember saying, it's not going to be okay for a very long time. I kept saying that. I kept saying, it's not going to be okay for a long time. This is going to last a very long time. Because I knew that my ex was something that I could not just get over immediately. I knew that he was the kind of person in my life that had such an impact on me that I was going to be traumatized by the loss for a very long time. And I was right. I said, Mom, I'm going to be okay, but it's not going to be anytime soon. This is gonna hurt. And I was crying, yeah, because I lost him, but I was crying more because I knew that the next maybe year of my life was gonna be hell. I was crying because I knew that adapting to a life without him was gonna be hard. I wasn't crying because I lost him. A part of me was, but I was crying because I did not know how I was gonna adapt. And that's the thing, you don't know right now how you're gonna adapt. Humans naturally have an urge and an instinct to have everything figured out. We naturally want to know what we're going to do with our lives. We're naturally, curious as to who we're going to spend our life with and as to what we're going to do. And, we just have a plan for everything. And now your plan was stripped away from you, and you have to be confused. That's literally all I can tell you. You have to be confused. You have to be heartbroken. You have to be all of this because it makes you appreciate when everything finally comes together. For me, everything hasn't come together yet, but I can successfully say that I've made it through the darkest days of my life. And when I say that they were dark, I'm not exaggerating. I have been through the absolute darkest days of my life where I literally became mentally crippled and I wasn't able to do half the things that a normal person could. I have made it through the darkest days of my life because I didn't hide from my feelings. I didn't try to handle them in a wrong way. I didn't try to cover them up. I didn't try to lie to myself. Every time I felt depressed, every time I was depressed, every time anything happened that required me to grieve, I let it come out. Because that's the only way you can prevent buildup, is by grieving. I grieved a lot. I grieved up until 9 months after the breakup. But I got it all out. And now I feel very good. It's going to take you a very long time to heal. But I promise you, that's not a sign that you're meant to be together. That's not a sign that your life is over or that the best days are behind you. It's just a sign that you're going to appreciate the real thing so much more. When I was in the 10th grade, I dated this guy for about 4 months. He was a piece of trash. He was just manipulative. He was verbally and emotionally abusive. He did some things in his past that he wasn't honest with me about. He just treated me awful, but I was so captivated by him. I loved the idea of having a boyfriend and of having him. He was a football player. I was a cheerleader. I loved having him in my life because it made me look good. It made me sound good. And I remember we only hung out a couple times. It wasn't a serious relationship. But I considered him to be a super serious relationship. I could have sworn at one point in my life that I was in love with him. I was super obsessed with this dude, but I was more obsessed with the idea of him. We hung out a couple times, maybe 2 or 3. On my birthday, he didn't even wish me happy birthday till later that evening. He was a really bad boy to be dating. And I knew in the back of my head that he was wrong for me, but I was trying so willingly to make it right. And after we ended, it took me 7 months to get over him. 7 months. I remember exactly. That's just one of those things I'll never forget. And I remember a couple days after we ended, I was riding home from cheer practice to my house with one of my friends because we were having a sleepover, and I was crying my eyes out. And she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I honestly think the best days of my life are behind me." I was in 10th grade. She said, "Alisa, shut up, you're an idiot." And I was like, "No, I truly think the best days are behind me." Guess what? I fell in love with the most amazing boy just a year and a half later. I had no idea it was coming. I literally met him in a shop, it's not like a restaurant. I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to be too specific, but for example, an ice cream shop. I walked in to get an ice cream and he was there. I literally met him. I woke up one morning, brushed my teeth, put my clothes on, went to cheer practice. I had no idea what was about to come my way, and then I met him and I fell in love with him instantly. Spent over a year of my life with this boy, and I was so happy. After we broke up, same thing happened. I said I truly think the best days of my life are behind me. And at this point, I had more validation for that. Obviously I had more proof. And it's been 9 months since the breakup. And I don't want to say the best days of my life are behind me, because you can't compare relationships and greatness. Because every relationship is different in its own way. I remember asking an adult, I said, I'm afraid that this is the best relationship I've ever had, and that it's gone forever. Like, I'm never going to find something to this magnitude ever again. And he told me, well, you're not going to find something like this, you're right, but you're going to find something totally different. It's not going to be better, it's not going to be worse, it's just going to be different. And ever since I heard him say that, my whole outlook has changed. Now, every time I date boys, I don't compare them to my ex anymore, because I realized you're not going to replace them. Every human on this world is different. You're never going to replace him or the relationship that you just had. But you're going to have something amazing, but it's going to be amazing in its own special way. And I've really realized that, because I've dated a good handful of guys since the breakup, and every relationship was so different. It's like exploring new countries, It's like every little boy is his own country, and they all have their own groups of friends and their own groups of hobbies. Like, the last guy I dated, he loves cars, and he loves, racing cars and just, talking about cars and going to car shows. But the guy I dated before him loves to go fishing and loves to do this. And the guy I just recently dated, I don't really know what he loves. It's like a whole new country, and it's so exciting, because everywhere you go from here on out is going to be so fun. And no, it's not going to be what you just had. And I know it's hard to imagine, I'm still so in love with my ex-boyfriend and the habits that we had and, our life. I understand. But clearly it's not meant to be yours right now. But that doesn't mean that it won't be in the future. Now, I'm not trying to get your hopes up. Maybe you guys are meant to be together, and maybe you're not. But I promise there is a reason why it broke apart, and I cannot tell you that reason. I can't even tell you my own reason. But you have to trust the process. That's literally your only choice. And may I repeat myself, the only way to get through it is to go through it. You have to hit this head on. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to resist any negative temptations, like calling him or confessing your love. You have to resist anything that may pull you back from recovery. After my breakup, my focus wasn't on getting him back. It was on recovery. The first couple days, I was like, I really want him back. But then I was like, no, screw anyone who doesn't want me. You have to want yourself because he doesn't want you. You have to love yourself because he no longer loves you. You have to desire yourself and pursue yourself because he no longer wants to desire or pursue you. That's your only option. So you can either choose to dwell over someone that blatantly does not want you anymore, or you can choose to take over for yourself and choose to be happy, because it is a choice. I promise it's a choice. And for the first few weeks / months, it's going to be a very hard choice to make, and you are going to be miserable. You might be depressed. But eventually there comes a time where it is your choice to be happy or to be miserable, and I chose to be happy, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy because I made the decision to be. There's a lot I can grieve about. There's a lot I can cry about. There's a lot I can complain about. But I choose my mental health over anything else. I choose my progress over anything else. Because he doesn't deserve to see me hurt. Your ex doesn't deserve to see you hurt. There is a time and place to be hurt. And if the breakup just happened, now's the time. Hurt as much as you can. My nose itches so bad. But eventually you will feel a click in your heart that says it's time. For some, it takes a week for it to click. For some, it takes a month. For some, it takes 9 months or 8 months or 7 months or a year. Every, time healing period is different. But you will feel a shift one day, and it is going to tell you, move on. And you have to listen to it. So, as of right now, let it run its course. Allow yourself to hurt, because it is going to hurt. But when your heart tells you that it's time, I promise it's time. And that doesn't mean that you're going to wake up one day and be moved on. It just means that you're going to wake up and you're going to be motivated to move on because you feel that shift. And you're going to face challenges, of course, but at the end of the day, you're going to know what you need to do. And it's to work on being a better you and a more reconciled you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Specifically, my friend, I'm here for you at all hours of the day. If you need a part 2 to this video, let me know and I'd be super happy to make it, but as of now, I need to go to bed because I have 2 exams to study for. So thank you all so much. If you have any requests, leave them down in the comments below or message me on any of my social media stuff, which I'll list in the description of this video. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.